Hey, what's going on, fight fans? TKO Boxing. Ruslan Provodnikov versus Brandon Rios. Guaranteed bloodbath. Somebody dying. Someone will die. I mean, this fight would be just pure violence. It's a fantastic fight. The entertainment value that would come out of this fight would be a 10 out of 10, hands down. It's guaranteed there'd be no disappointments. Both these guys come forward, and that's that. They're both fairly limited. They're both pretty one-dimensional. They both fight similar. They have a similar style. I mean, there's some differences between the two, but for the most part, they're similar. Um, Brandon Rios though is coming off the win against Alvarado. He looked great. He obviously prepared very well for that fight. He looked to be in really good shape, probably better shape than he's ever been in. I noticed just by looking at him. I mean, Brandon's never shredded. He's never ripped. He's always got that soft body type. He doesn't really show much muscle, but he looked more chiseled than ever. I mean, no homo. But, I mean, you could just tell the guy was in the best shape of his life. You really could. You could just tell. And it translated in the ring, obviously. But at the same time, Mike Alvarado really wasn't there. You could tell his distractions outside of the ring affected him fight night. It was pretty obvious. He had nothing to give. You know. But back to Provodnikov versus Rios. I mean, they're saying they're going to set up Rios with Timothy Bradley next, and I'm not against that fight. To be honest with you, I'm not. I mean, I think it's a good fight. I just think that Timothy Bradley wins that fight with relative ease. That's if. There's a big if though. If he fights the right fight. He didn't fight the right fight against Ruslan, and look what happened. If he does the same with Brandon, he could be in for another nightmare. Because I think Brandon brings some of the same qualities that Ruslan brings. As far as relentlessness, and he will be relentless against Timothy Bradley. So Timothy Bradley's got to move. He's got to fight the right fight. But I can understand why Brandon would want to put off the Ruslan fight because, I mean, these guys can potentially end each other's career. I mean, just based on how this fight's going to be, they both know how this fight's going to be. I've heard Brandon in interviews. Shout out to ES News. He's had some interviews with Brandon mentioning that he's mentioned this fight a couple times, and he's had the same reaction. He said, if the money's right, I'll do it. I mean, he's going to want some money for this fight. They're both going to want some money for this fight because of the nature of the battle. I mean, they're truly going to risk their lives in there. I mean, this fight would be crazy. And then Ruslan's coming off that win against Castillo, which to me was a complete bullshit fight. Castillo's definitely washed up. I guess you could call it a tune-up. There's much better opposition Ruslan could have faced, and that fight was just a waste of time, in my opinion. And they're talking about Ruslan fighting Lucas Matisse. So we're just gonna have to see what happens. We're just gonna have to see what happens. This is the fight I want to see next. I really want to see these two guys. I'm eager to see these two guys fight because I really think right now Brandon's coming off that big win. His confidence is sky high, and I thought Ruslan had a big edge initially when people started talking about this fight. But now I think Rios would have his best chance of winning because he's got a lot of momentum. He's got a lot of momentum. So I think this fight would be probably as good as it ever would be if it gets made now. But I don't think it's going to get made. I really don't. I don't think they'll end up doing it, unfortunately. Maybe down the line. I'm not saying down the line they won't, but right now it probably won't get made. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think that this fight will ever get made? Do you want to see it as bad as I do? Don't get me wrong. I really appreciate the sweet science. I love technical boxers. I love brawlers. I love everything. It's just, I mean, everybody loves watching a fight like this once in a while, and I know that this fight would deliver. And who knows, it could end up being a trilogy like Mike Alvarado and Brandon Rios, except not disappointing. This could be the next trilogy. Who knows? Drop your comments below, and until next time, thanks.